In the late 1900s, there was a popular TV show by the name of Friends. There was an episode where one of the main characters, Phoebe, tried to prove to another character that there are, in fact, selfless deeds. That a person can perform an act knowing that it doesn't benefit themselves in any way. The result of the episode is that Phoebe realized that any good deed she performs results in some sort of positive benefit for herself, regardless of how small. She still positively benefits from it. Therefore, there is a personal component to any good deed. The lesson that she learned in that episode is the premise of this entire video. Extroverted feeling, or FE for short, is inherently selfish. And guys, that's okay. Within the MBTI community, extroverted feeling is glamorized as this righteous cognitive function that will always put someone else's emotions before their own, as if they're a knight in shining armor. But what happens when it's a group of people with conflicting emotions? What if by choosing one side, you're inherently devaluing the feeling of another side? And if you don't choose a side at all, then you're just devaluing everyone's emotions, aren't you? In this situation, which happens hundreds of times throughout a person's life with siblings, parents, coworkers, or even random strangers you meet, how can a person confidently say that they put someone else's emotions first if the result is another person having their emotions devalued? Is it not selfish to choose a side? Is it not also selfish to decide not to choose a side? This video is a result of comments that I've been receiving after I released a video that was very personal about my dating history. When I mentioned my issues with dating INFJs, where I said that my FI values kept getting ignored, there were so many comments about people asking me, were they really in fact INFJs? Because INFJs have secondary extroverted feeling, therefore any emotional needs that you have should always be prioritized by them. As if INFJs are incapable of prioritizing their own emotions. There were even other MBTI types that echoed my sentiment about extroverted feeling users ignoring their feelings, but to some, extroverted feeling can't be selfish. Technically, that's true if we're only focusing on the cognitive function itself, FE in its purest form. But I'm talking about extroverted feeling users, and to be human is to engage all 8 functions, whether you're aware of it or not. So when I say extroverted feeling is so-and-so, I'm using it the same way as if I was saying America sucks at math. America isn't a person. Of course, America can't personally be bad at math, but you understand that I'm referring to all Americans. So when I say FE, I'm referring to all FE users. To fully understand my stance on this topic, let's start off talking about extroverted feeling sister, introverted feeling. FI is commonly known as a selfish function. The stereotype is FI users will prioritize our own feelings before that of others. But if that's always the case, that means that FI users should never go out of their way or comfort level to prioritize the emotional need of someone else or a group. And that's not true. Introverted feeling will go out of its way to take care of people we care about, even sometimes going against our own values. So if introverted feeling can do the opposite of what it's known for, why can't extroverted feeling do the same? Why can't extroverted feeling perform actions that are inherently selfish? But don't get my words twisted. I don't see either action as right or wrong. For introverted feeling, standing in your truth doesn't automatically make you noble. Sometimes we are extremely selfish, and a healthy person is aware of that. For extroverted feeling, prioritizing other people's emotions before your own doesn't make you altruistic, because as a healthy person, you're aware that most of you, it's a result of being conflict averse. So although this video is titled something along the lines of extroverted feeling is inherently selfish, it's meant to be my own subjective observation, trying to be presented in a very objective way to educate this community instead of it being a straight slander video. At my channel, we elevate the community, we don't punch down. Before I continue this video, I want to clearly state that I personally appreciate extroverted feeling, and I believe that it is necessary for a functioning society. Academia would be horrible if teachers didn't enforce a safe space for underperforming students and continue to give praise when it's needed. Having a manager or a coach would be unbearable if you're only judged by your output instead of being seen as a complex human being with real life struggles. Something as simple as creating dinner plans with your friends or family is easier if most of the group is okay with not getting their first choice. The cohesiveness of the group allows the opportunity for people to flourish by each person making up for the lack of skill of another. The ancient proverb is still applicable today. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Extroverted feeling is amazing at going together. My biggest issue with FE is how unaware some of you are that you're making a selfish decision, and how you justify your decision as being self-righteous. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. As an FI user, I'm aware and acknowledge that I do it a lot. What is not okay is to be selfish and coerce someone to do something unwillingly because of your blindfold ignorance. And the ignorance that I'm referring to are the moments where FE users are engaging with FI, but justify it through an FE lens. Each person engages with all 8 functions, but we tend to be unaware when we're engaging with the bottom 4 functions in our stack. And I'll use myself as an example, because I do this a lot too. I'm an INTJ. Introverted feeling is my 3rd slot, and FE is my 7th blind spot. It's easy for me to recognize when someone's engaging with FI because I'm so aware of how much I engage with it on a daily basis, or how much I try not to engage with it. On the other hand, I'm so aware when someone is using extroverted feeling because it's my blind spot, meaning it's something that I don't really ever consider, so it sticks out because it doesn't make natural sense to me. And when I engage with extroverted feeling, something as simple as saying I don't care what the group decides, although the decision might not be in my favor, I justify that action through introverted feeling or one of my other 4 top functions, because it brings me peace that the group finally arrived to a decision, which might be FI, but I engage with extroverted feeling by prioritizing the group dynamic, even though it goes against my natural habit. The complexity of that scenario is to provide an example that everyone engages with all 8 functions, and we tend to justify our intentions through our top 4 functions. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. We're human. We all do that shit. Now let's circle back to the group dynamic that I mentioned earlier. Picture this. We're around a group of friends, all laughing and having a good time. And then out of the blue, someone makes an offhand comment or joke that upsets another person in the group. That comment was made as a joke. Everyone is laughing besides that one person. They didn't take it as a joke. If your initial instinct is to maintain peace and harmony within the group by telling that person to lighten up, I want to ask you a very serious question. Whose peace are you maintaining? It's not the peace of the group, because that person who is upset, that person's part of the group, unless you're telling me that they're no longer part of the group because they're upset. It's not the peace of the person that's upset, because that person has vocally told you that they're upset and that they're not comfortable with what's being said. So whose peace are you maintaining? Most things in life are complex, and what's right or wrong depends on which side of the line you're on. And in this example, it's not specific to FE or FI users because both types can have the same reaction. For example, if the person that's upset is your spouse and you side with the group, you're gonna have a bad time. But if you're at a bachelor party and the person that's upset is being selfish against a group decision, then it makes more sense to side with a larger group. But it still all depends on context. If you personally have the urge to tell someone to go against their feelings because they're ruining the vibe, ask yourself why you're the person who needs to bring it up, and why that person has to change their emotional state instead of the rest of the people in the group. And I'll stop asking questions at this point, and I know this is a very convoluted example, but you brought it up because you won't feel comfortable if the group doesn't feel comfortable. Yes, your actions are the result of the group dynamic, but you still benefit as a result. Again, I'm not saying that this approach is right or wrong, nor am I saying that you should stop doing any type of FE action because it may or may not have a hint of selfish intent. I already said it earlier. It's okay to be selfish sometimes. I just want FE users to understand that sometimes you're engaging with your FI when you're utilizing extroverted feeling. It isn't easy for an FI user to arrive at our values, and our values change so much over time. Healthy FI users are constantly evolving and reevaluating our beliefs. So we might become a different person every few weeks, every few months, or every few years. But a characteristic that stays constant is how firmly we stand on our beliefs. And a lot of the times, it doesn't make sense to FE users, the level at which we take offense. FE users will understand why we're upset, but not to the degree of how much we're internally struggling. And as an INTJ who has personally tried running away from FI for over 3 decades, I had to learn to accept that it doesn't have to make sense to anyone besides myself. Sometimes there's no logic to how we feel. Here are some lesser but real world examples of FE ignoring FI due to some selfish reason. If you had a roommate that has a favorite book that is shelved and you've never seen your roommate read it, it's not okay to lend it out without their permission. Yes, the book will probably be returned. Yes, you could buy a replacement if it gets lost, but that's not the point. You don't understand the significance of the book. And to loan it out without permission feels like you're valuing the other person over that of your roommate. Ask yourself, why is the book highly valued? What if the book got your roommate through a very tough patch in their life and just seeing that book gives them some sort of comfort? It's like it makes them happy. What if the book was a gift from a loved one who passed away? Or even more ridiculous, what if they just like having the book around for no logical reason besides the fact that they like having the book there? It doesn't need to make sense to you. You just need to understand that it matters to them. And to loan it out without permission is a selfish decision, although the primary recipient of the act of kindness is not you. Your FE feels better because you help someone. But in this scenario, you're devaluing your roommate's FI value as a result. The following two scenarios are my own personal real-life examples, and I'll start off with the dating one since it's what triggered this video. I was dating a high FI user, and I had to pick her up from a meeting. She was aware that I had prior commitments that were time-sensitive that I needed to get to, but I carved off time to pick her up. And when I got there, I was told that we needed to drop off some of her colleagues. To some, it may seem innocent, but I was livid. These weren't her friends. They weren't family. These are just coworkers that will come and go. I'm the person that she's dating, so my opinion or how I felt about the situation should have been considered and have higher weight. But it didn't. She was aware that I had to be somewhere at a certain time, but she still made the conscious decision to offer my time to drop these people off. So not only is she devaluing my time and how I felt about it, she's also devaluing a personal commitment that I made with someone else, someone that's part of my FI value. This led to a huge argument, and it's not because of what actually happened in the sensory world, but instead it's because I felt like my values weren't being regarded as highly as they should be. It was selfish of her to decide that my time was less valuable, but she couldn't understand that because in her eyes, people needed help. But what about what mattered to me? I would have gladly dropped them off if I didn't have prior commitments. But the situation was that I gave someone my word that I would meet them somewhere at a certain time. And I tried to keep my word. We were both young and stupid when this happened, and that issue was never resolved. But I felt betrayed. Her FE felt like it was more important than my FI. The final example that I have is something that I go through a lot still with some of my friends and family members. And it might sound weird to some of you because it really does, from the outside, seem like a selfless act, but it causes me way more stress than most people are aware of. It's when I receive undeserved gifts. It stems from extroverted thinking. I did a very informative collaboration video with an ENFJ content creator, Denzel Mensah, which I'll link it below, and we briefly went over this topic. This example might only be applicable to INTJs, but I'm an INTJ and this is an INTJ channel, so I'm going to talk about it. Denzel mentioned when ENFJs provide gifts, whether it's words of affirmation, praise, or something sensory, that it all stems from a place of kindness. That they're providing a piece of themselves that they want to share with you because they feel like you're deserving of it. Which makes sense if you're on that side of the line. Because then there's the other side of the line where I think most INTJs can be found. As INTJs, we are so self-critical that it doesn't make sense to receive gifts unless we absolutely deserve it. So when we do receive them undeservingly, I'm not sure what word to use, but it feels fake. And it also makes me feel like I owe you. But we strive to live an authentic life. But as an INTJ, then we owe you something. That doesn't really feel authentically earned. That also doesn't feel like it should be given unauthentically, but we still owe you. Do you see where that goes? This is the part where extroverted feeling becomes selfish. I'm sure most INTJ express that it makes them uncomfortable when FE users do things like that, and we have asked them to stop. But it doesn't seem to make sense for the FE users because it's authentic to them. I have vocally expressed to my FE friends not to give me any gifts that are undeserved, but the way they respond is, you always deserve them. I've said this multiple times in this video. Selfishness depends on what side of the line you're on. So going back to Friends, when Phoebe from the show Friends arrived to the conclusion that all selfish actions have some component of selfishness, she was devastated. But that's not how this video should be received. This video is titled something along the lines of FE is selfish, but the main takeaway should be that sometimes selfishness is okay. As long as you're aware that the root of actions derive from a personal agenda, then you can start noticing your behavior and choose to improve it if you choose to. So the final question that I'll answer in this video is extroverted feeling selfish? My answer is absolutely yes. But it's only my perspective from my side of the line. And that's all for this video, folks. I wanted to talk about this topic because a lot of people ask me about the negative side of extroverted feeling, but I don't like putting videos that will punch down on anyone or any characteristics. So it took me a while to come up with, not the idea of this video, but just the premise of this video. There were lots and lots of iteration. Trust me, if I really wanted to do a video bashing extroverted feeling, I have plenty of ammunition. Extroverted feeling has been the bane of my existence ever since I can remember. But again, it's not going to be productive for the community. Community comes first. You should always strive to be better, and as an INTJ, even though my blind spot is extroverted feeling, that's no excuse not to appreciate it in its purest form. There's a lot in this video that I decided not to put in because, again, I felt like it was a lot more bashing as opposed to being educational. But if you feel like it needs to be said, feel free to leave it in the comment section. Again, be very, very cordial because the purpose is to educate and not hurt each other. It's a very small community. We're all like-minded people. And let's be honest, most of us are in this community because we don't fit in anywhere. So let's not make anyone not fit in just because we have a personal opinion about something. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.